Well, it looks like we have another down day in the equities, and silver's pretty much holding its own, but the big winner today was Palladium. If you haven't noticed, it went over 800. It wasn't that long ago, people had fears of it going down to 500 and all this kind of crap like that, but, it was solidly below $700 not that long ago. And actually, the reason Palladium going up this high now recently is due to fears over Russia. Russia, like in other words, the U.S. and the European Union and G8, or now it's a G7, whatever the hell it is, basically has put sanctions on Russia. So there's a fear in the back of their mind, which may be unrealistic, that they're going to do something with palladium or restrict palladium or something like that, and which is a very much an essential metal for industry, especially car production, which is actually going on quite heavily in the world globally. Maybe the car sales have been slowing down in the United States, or maybe staying steady. Maybe that's more realistic. But globally, car sales have been going up, and there's been more and more impetus for catalyst to keep the air clean, right? So palladium's in big demand, and considering that Russia has 43% of the world's palladium production every year, with 39% of it coming from one mine, really it should be higher than gold, but it's going to be a slow, steady rise until maybe, unexpectedly, exponentially takes off like a rocket. Now, I know in the major media they're making a lot of excuses for the markets. I guess it's a mixed bag. Some people are arguing that the PE ratios were higher in 2000, a lot higher. Yeah, that's true, but the PE ratios, is the third highest they've ever been. Even with this downturn, it's still the third highest they've ever been. The PE ratios, the price-earning ratios, the equities, were the highest in 2000 before the crash. The second highest was in 1929. The third highest is now. The highest they were in 2000 was way the hell over what they are now, and way the hell over 1929. It was like a bubble of the bubbles, but that doesn't mean we're not in a bubble now, because it still is the third highest it ever was in 100-year financial history of the equities in the United States. So, it doesn't mean it's not going to be a correction. The thing is, what may happen though, and this doesn't mean that the dollar's going to fall, because when people run out of equities, they got to run into something. A lot of them run into cash, but they may run into precious metals too. The silver market, like you've been hearing so long, is such a tiny market. The actual palladium market is infinitesimally smaller than silver. Infinitesimally smaller than silver, and over 90% of it is industrial use. It's used up every year. So go figure it out. Palladium could really skyrocket a lot more unexpectedly than you think. And how high is high? I don't know, but it could go a hell of a lot more than gold. I'd sure like to see gold go up to $3,000 to $5,000 an ounce, and palladium go to 4 times that, which would be $12,000 to $20,000. That would be nice, but I don't know if it is or isn't. I don't know if it is or isn't, but that's not as crazy to think that as what happened with Bitcoin. To tell you the truth, it's not as crazy to think that palladium could go to some ungodly amount, several times the price of gold, and gold could be easily $3,000 to $5,000 an ounce. And in the future, palladium could actually be several times what gold is, which gold could be $3,000 to $5,000 an ounce. Now, it's kind of funny because 99% of the people don't even think about palladium out there. Never have and never will. And the reason they don't is because it's not lucrative to push it. Because, in other words, you can't get a lot of people involved in it. You really can't. You can't. And the reason is because the market is infinitesimally smaller than silver, which in itself is a small market. So go figure it out. It's almost like, maybe Caesium-133 isotope's going to go way up. I know there's not a market for that per se on a where you could go and invest on a stock ticker or something like that, or trade it. That's for atomic triggers. But the thing is, it could go up exponentially. Palladium is almost like a rare earth metal in some ways, and it's used in high-tech applications, hybrid vehicles, and all this type of stuff. So, I don't know. We'll see. We shall see what happens here. There's been a lot of talk about who the next president's going to be. I'm going to tell you right now. I think unless they play a really shrewd game, which I know how I defeat this next one is because I think Hillary Clinton's hands down. If there was an election right now, she'd probably be the president, despite maybe not amongst my audience, but she would be. There's enough people out there that would vote for her. There's no doubt about it. But actually, the way to kill her election would be to put a lot of snippets of her crazy little witch laugh out there about when, talking about killing Gaddafi and stuff, and she cackles, she goes, you could see her as the president. Holy shit. But, I don't really care, to tell you the truth. If that happens, the way I look at it, the voters get the karma. The voters are getting the karma from Obama, too, right? Karma comes around in one way or the other. In other words, Obama's like, hey, let's vote for Obama. We got change. We got Obamacare. Obamacare is like supposed to be something that is like, now they're saying it's a victory for the administration. But, hey, you think about it, it's actually killing all the jobs for the freaking people that need jobs, that are unemployed. And then actually, it's still a tax whether you have income or not, right? Who the hell ever heard of a tax that has no income, right? Basically, that's what Obamacare is, right? It could be forced tax for people with no income. So, this is actually a lot of the people that voted for Obama think they're getting some national free health care. They're getting screwed. So, the way I look at it is, if Hillary wins, fine. No problem, man. Karma is a bitch, man. It comes around. Hillary's a bitch, too. But, it's going to come around. It's going to come around. I'm not going to get all excited about it, That's the deal. But, I know how I would defeat her easily in an election. Just show her a cackling laugh. Yeah. She's like the wicked witch of the West, the wicked witch of the East, or whatever the hell you want to call it, She's scary, man. People want to go vote for her, go ahead. I don't give a shit. Go ahead. Hey, it's a free country. I ain't going to tell people what to do. They do what they want. But like I said, we get the leaders we deserve. But what the hell is that going to have to do with silver? Probably, it may have something to do, a lot to do with silver, because, it may weaken the the international status, I meant to say, of the United States. Leadership has a lot to do with how we're perceived in the world and how many people get behind us, Right now, it looks like, I hate to say it, but Obama's, he's projecting kind of like weakness, I hate to say it, he is. It's been a joke that he's been projecting weakness, it's a sad joke. You see all these things out there with caricatures of him that he's a weak leader. I hate to say that because, it's my country. I'd rather have a strong leader, But it's almost like that makes more people turn against the United States, and overall, it has an effect somehow. And that will affect us economically in the long run, too. Leadership has a lot to do with a lot of things. So, if we get another person like that, I don't know who the hell would be the other candidate. My opinion is I don't vote for Democrats or Republicans. I vote for the other party. I went for a Libertarian. I went for Gary Johnson last time, actually. I was in the less than 1% that actually when I voted. But, if we show weakness in the United States and, the world opinion starts turning against the United States, that could be bad for the economic power of the United States and bad for the power of the dollar itself. So that's another reason to protect yourself with precious metals, especially something like silver. Now, I've always said silver is a little bit better than palladium for this reason, mainly, because people know what the hell it is. It's been around for freaking thousands of years. It's like people remember the coins that had mostly silver in it, that were 90% silver, right? People remember that. People remember that it's money. A lot of people don't know what the hell palladium is, although I think palladium actually is going to do better dollar-wise. But, if I was going to give somebody kind of advice about what precious metal to invest in mostly, which I probably went into palladium about as much as silver, but, dollar-wise, but I would say go mainly in silver first. Definitely go in silver first. Although you're probably going to do better dollar-wise in palladium, because it's not really, palladium something that's not really like a recognized, you can go to a lot of places and say, I got an ounce of palladium, and they'll look at you like, big deal, you know what I mean? You're not going to be able to trade, something that you need, some type of, I don't know, maybe you want a tractor for your your lawn garden or something like that, and you say somebody's got this for sale and you want to like barter with it, they might really accept silver a hell of a lot more than palladium. If you're getting down to that kind of nitty gritty. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the real big drawbacks to palladium. But as far as dollar value, I think it's going to go way the hell up. It's not that crazy to think it can go to $10,000 to $20,000 an ounce. Sounds crazy now. It may go that high. I don't know if it's going to go that high, but I think it's going to definitely top the price of gold at some point in time. And I think gold is going to go to $3,000 an ounce someday. I mean, not 10 years from now. Maybe just, it might be, I'm probably talking way low here when I'm saying a few $1,000s an ounce, even a few years from now. Palladium should be more than the price of gold, easily. Platinum is 1.4 times the price of gold on average, but that's not considering pullbacks. During normal industrial times, platinum is actually twice the price of gold. Palladium should be at least the price of platinum. So, when I'm talking about 3 or 4 times the price of gold, that could be something that can happen during a super spike when it gets ahead of itself. I don't know when, or, it's a matter of, it is a matter of total guesswork. You have to be lucky to get it just right. But, this is the reason you don't, go hog wild into one area, or when you sell, because, well, the point is, if you knew the market's that damn well, it is mathematically an axiom. You could start out with $100 and be the richest person on earth inside of a year easily. Actually, you would earn the earth inside of a year. And the reason for that is, it's like nobody knows the markets that well, but mathematically, that is exactly what would happen. So, when I'm putting out this kind of advice, I can't give you pinpoint exact answers. Nobody can. Anybody that says they can, they're full of it. Big time. They are. They're definitely full of it. But it's not unreasonable at all to say that palladium will go past the price of gold at some point in time. It's not unreasonable at all that gold should be at least $3,000 an ounce. And if you're talking about, the 20 to 1 ratio with gold, you're talking hundreds of dollars for silver too. If you're talking $3,000 an ounce, you're talking a lot of money for silver. You're talking like $150 an ounce for silver. It could very well go that high. It could very well go that high, or even higher. The only problem I have to say with silver going up to really super, that's a hell of a gain. A lot of people don't think that's a big gain that don't have that much silver. But if, say, you had, $5 million worth of silver and the freaking thing went up, 6 times, you got $30 million, right? It's all a matter of, when people have 100 ounces of silver, they want gains like 10 times and stuff like that. But it depends on how much you have. A gain of double is ridiculous when you have a lot of something. But the thing is, when you are talking about silver with gains like that, the other side of the equation is there's probably going to be, if you're going to have that type of climate in the economy, there's going to be a lot of civil unrest. There's going to be a lot of problems. And to tell you the truth, I wouldn't want that to happen. I'd rather have silver not go up some extremely exorbitant amount. If it went up to $70 an ounce, I would think that would be fantastic. And if there wasn't any civil unrest in the United States, if the other prices stayed steady, I think that would just be fine. I don't really want it to go up to freaking hundreds of dollars an ounce. And the reason I state that is because that would mean other things. It would mean there would be major problems in the U.S. economy. There would be major problems with the dollar itself. There would be major problems abroad with our status in the globe. There would be all kinds of freaking problems. And I'd rather not have silver go up that high, and have all these other problems happen. So, that's one of my reasons for it. So, don't wish for these things to happen. Don't wish for these things to happen. That's where I really have a problem with some of these doom and gloomers out there, because they are actually wishing for $500 silver, $1,000 silver. they think it's going to be a walk in the park in the rest of the world. In the United States, it's going to look, it's like all the evildoers are just going to cave in. No, it's not going to be like that. It's going to actually be, if silver ever went up to those ludicrous prices like that, there would be massive problems in our society. There would be massive problems in our economy. There'd be a lot of civil unrest. That's something you don't want to hope for. I'd rather see silver go up quite a bit and the dollar remain very strong. It would be nice to see a panic out of the markets. Actually, the markets are pretty much, there's a lot of fluff in our economy. If you look at, what I'd really like to see in the United States is to bring back true manufacturing and industry. And also, where there's a lot of waste, I'd say, is in the healthcare industry with the pharmaceutical industry, which is the second largest industry out there besides the oil industry. The oil industry being the biggest. Actually, those are two fields I'm pretty keen on. If we can actually, and I think it's very possible. For one, I put out a lot of videos about alternative health. I try to be more accurate in it and not make, these, because there's a lot of people out there that exaggerate the crap out of it, telling alternative health. I just think it has a cost benefit. But the thing is, if they bring down the cost of medical care and they bring up the health of people, the mental alertness of people, and the health of people basically in general, you actually increase your productivity and the overall well-being of people overall in the whole country, which improves the whole economy, right? And at the same time, you're knocking down this parasitical pharmaceutical industry. And, the other side of it is, too, to do this with the energy sector, too. This would be the ideal situation for the United States, actually. This would be. But, we are not in the ideal situation, that's for sure. But anyway, just stick with your freaking investment, as I've been saying all along, because it is going to surprise you. I think Bitcoin has shown us the way of some of the things that could potentially happen with silver. You talk about the fund. People are going to argue with me left and right. I'm saying something here that's like a loaded, very, controversial type of statement. But, if Bitcoin can go up to some exorbitant amounts like $1,200 of Bitcoin, I don't see why silver can't go up pretty damn to at least $70, $75, or $100 or $150 even, easily. I think it's a below ballpark figure for gold to go to $3,000 an ounce. A 20-to-1 ratio for silver is probably a low ballpark for the high ratio, which would bring it up to $150 an ounce. And palladium, though, I'm going to say it again, palladium can go to several times the price of gold. Gold could be $3,000 to $5,000. It could be 3 to 4 times the price, so that could put it between, $9,000 and $20,000 at the very peak. Trouble is, if you're trying to guess the peak, at the other side of that curve is going to be like a plummet like this, a radical cliff. And actually on the way up, it's going to do a couple of cliffs. That's why it's going to be impossible to predict the exact price point of palladium. But the big news for today is palladium broke through $800, and it hasn't been that high in a few years. And this is over Russia, I think, a lot over fears over Russia. So I just want to put a little more emphasis on palladium in this video than silver. And I have actually was smart enough to buy palladium when it was under $200 an ounce. Nobody was listening. Oh well. And I'm stating right now, I think it's going to be way over the price of gold at one point in time. So go figure.